everyone. My name is Ellen.
And my name's Alyssa. Welcome back to the Modern Singer Podcast. Oh, I couldn't zoom because I wasn't clicked on it. Ha! Now I can zoom.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Oh my god. I watched that movie again the other day.
No, you did not.
I did. Serious? She's like, I'm an adult. I'm 13. I'm like, ew.
Oh my god. I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, I was so offended. I had to turn it off.
I can't even.
I was so sad.
Oh my god, I haven't seen that movie in so long. That's hilarious.
Like Baby Raven-Symoné.
Oh my god. Yeah, Baby Raven-Symoné.
Wild.
God, I need to rewatch that.
Be prepared. So Ellen and I were talking before we started recording, and not only can resume formatting be extreme. Oh, we're talking about resumes today, by the way, friends, because there is not one single way to organize your resume. So we're gonna start putting something out there to make everyone's lives easier, because resume formatting can be extremely daunting, especially when you're starting from scratch or if you have to reformat the entire thing. We're going to walk you through all of the information you need to have on your resume, and then we'll tack on some extras if you have time and space to add to it. But my biggest recommendation is Google Docs, insert a table, and then change the table to white. And then everything's always lined up. That is my biggest recommendation.
Oh my god, that's a really good recommendation.
That's how I keep everything in straight lines.
But before we even get there, we cannot emphasize enough that you should never, ever, never, don't even let it creep into your mind. Think about lying on your resume to fill up space. If you don't fill a full page with your accomplishments, roles, or whatever else you want to add, that is absolutely okay. People aren't looking to cast somebody who's done absolutely everything, especially when you are applying for the right roles and the right types of companies. They're just trying to cast the role. So it is very easy in all of our industries, like musical theater, opera, whatever realm, to find out if somebody is lying. Everybody knows everybody, and it's a very small world, and people do talk. People talk all the time. If they don't know a singer or something, they call up their friend who they worked with and talk to them.
They will look up the shows that you say that you performed in. They will double check, and they will start calling people if they're not sure about you.
Don't lie. Just add those extras, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Like, we'll get there, but
leave blank space.
Just don't lie.
Leave blank space. Who cares? Okay, so we're going to go top to bottom from the page. First thing that you need is your header. It includes a couple of things. Most recently, the biggest thing that you want to make sure that you have on your resume is your headshot. You shrink it down, you put it in the corner, because if your headshot and your resume get separated, then they either only have your face with no name or they only have your name with no face, which is bad news bears. So just put it in the top left corner of Yes, it goes in the top left corner of your resume, because then if a staple goes through it, you would much rather a staple go through your picture than your contact information. The next thing you need is your name. It should be the biggest thing on your resume. It doesn't have to be huge. Up next, you've got your contact information, which is your phone and your email. And if you post your resume on the internet, have a second copy where you take those off. Please do not post your phone number and your email on the internet. There's weird, creepy people out there. On the next line, you'll add your website if you have one, and then you can add any extras. That's your height, the city where you're located, any representation that you have. For musical theater, you also add your hair color and your eye color. All of these other little, just like pure stats, go in your header.
Next up is your roles. How do we list our roles? So you always want to list the title of the role that you performed, the title of the show that you performed, the company or venue, if that's relevant, where you performed at, the director and or conductor, sometimes both if you can fit it, if they're extremely relevant or really popular, the year you performed it. This is just for your opera resume. If you're creating your musical theater resume, take this off your musical theater roles. And any extras. So if you're trying to save space, or if you've done a partial role, or if you're an understudy or cover, those are excellent things to add to your resume. Here are just a few space-saving ways to denote it, rather than using a key or symbols, or making people look all around the page. If you did a partial role or a scene, you can write scenes or SC. If you were an understudy, you can write U/S, cover, CVR. And like I mentioned, while we don't recommend using a key, there is absolutely no uniform agreed way in anywhere to do this and to denote these things. So some casting directors get annoyed when you have to go back and forth. Like I mentioned, you know, they have 5 seconds to look at your materials and they want to look at you.
They're looking at hundreds of resumes every single day.
Absolutely. They don't want to look at a key. They don't want to get confused, or, you know, you don't want them to think that you've done something that you haven't. So trust that these people are smart, and if they don't understand, that they will just ask in the room, and that's okay. But personally, I don't recommend using a key because I have been told many times that they're confused or they can't see it, or
I get told that every single time. Yeah, it's too much. Try less hard.
There are ways, you know, like I just mentioned, like the U/S or CVR, to just abbreviate it and add it on the same line.
The next section you add is your training. Now, as you get more and more advanced in the world, sometimes you'll take your training out. If you've like been at the Met for 5-6 years, you probably don't need to say where you went to undergrad. Pretty sure that people are okay with that. So this is going to be schools you've attended with your major and the years that you attended, training programs and the years that you attended, and then any other special trainings or certifications that you have, such as safety for stage fighting, formal language education, and other industry-related training that you've received. The extras here are if you want to add specifics on what you trained and with whom you trained, such as denoting a voice teacher, acting coach, or a choreographer. I know that I've got my stage fighting teacher on mine under my grad school stuff. So if you need to fill the space, fill it with that instead.
Another section that's really great to add are your special skills. Here you can really shine to show off the things that you can do that many may not seem directly connected to performing, but that make you unique and fun and really can add a little bit of extra into your performance.
Little pizzazz.
A little pizzazz, you know, sets you apart. So here's just a short list of some things that you can include here. Languages that you're fluent in, you know, if you're doing a lot of dialogue and you speak French fluently, they're going to like that, right? Because then your French is going to seem...
Or if they're casting somewhere in France or Canada where you need to speak
French. Absolutely. They're going to absolutely love that and take that into consideration. Dance training. You might be doing a show with a lot of dance, or maybe you're doing a show with just a little bit of dance, but it just really would be nice to have somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. Instruments you play and how well you can play them. Sometimes casting directors will ask you to play guitar or the violin or something like that on stage.
It's really common on new Broadway shows right now because they are trying to save money on the pit.
Absolutely. And, you know, from an audience perspective, it's cool to see. It's cool to watch. They know. I mean, we all know when you're looking at somebody and you're like, oh, they're playing the flute from the pit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's really cool when you have that skill.
You don't need to call Papageno out like that.
Oh, sorry, I know. It was a direct call out. It really was.
It really, truly was.
Sorry.
No one plays the pan flute. Sorry.
No, you know that's a flute, okay? Non-music certifications like fitness or education. I mean, if you're doing a lot of outreach and you're going to like 500 schools a day, that education component could really, really benefit. If you're CPR certified or anything like that, a lot of companies, I mean, safety is obviously first and foremost. Definitely put that on there. If you get paid to dress up as Disney characters and go play at kids' parties, that, I know everybody's surprised, but it is a big deal.
That was me in high school. And I know a lot of people, it's good money.
It's good money, but it also just shows that you can stay in character. You are believable to people
good improv
who are
practice.
Young and skeptic, and you're good with kids. I mean, it just shows a lot of different skills that you have. Aerial work or juggling experience, you would be surprised the amount of things that people ask you to do on stage.
I saw a unicycle once.
You know, you never know. There are a lot of people who take these skills and they translate them on stage, and people hire them back over and over and over again. Dean Anthony went to clown college and he used that on stage all the time. I mean, that man has told me that a lot. It was really, really good for his career. So you never know what kind of weird things that you do in your life that really could translate to a special skill on stage.
I will say, I have a fun one that has nothing to do with anything. And it really is just kind of how I vibe check the room. And the very last thing on my resume, under my special skills, is very convincing cat sounds.
Oh, yeah. I love
have been
that one on your resume.
by exactly 2 casting directors to do it. And I did. And they went, that is so much fun. And it's just like, it's me being a person and me saying, no, I'm going to have some fun with this. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
and they remember you. They will not forget the girl that has cat sounds on her resume.
If you put it on there and you can't do it, that's the problem. I can consistently do it because I learned how to mock my cat growing up. And I think it's funny. Be a person. Have some fun with it. Here are some extras that you can add in to your whole resume. So specifically for musical theater resumes, other section breakdowns that you can go into are opera versus musical theater, which can be broken down into regional, which is outside of New York, off-Broadway, which is just not on Broadway, and Broadway. There's also like off Broadway, but like don't bother with that. People will understand. You can have concert performances on there, discography if you've had any professional level released recordings. I know that I was in a couple of video game soundtracks. That was a weird time in my life. But you can also put down commercial work that you've done, TV and film that you've done, if you've done any background work or cameos, all of this fun stuff. You can also in there add your own teaching history. For me, it's my music directing, it's my private voice studio, it's my new position that I'm not going to talk about yet because I haven't told Ellen, and also I haven't signed the paperwork. It's the other things that you can add in to help show off who you are, not just as a performer, but as a music professional.
Absolutely. And all of these things play a part in stage work, you know, so don't be afraid to list it. And this isn't an end-all be-all list either, but it is what's currently standing to align with how people are looking to cast. I will say, though, in working in the marketing department and coming through, I mean, I touch everybody's headshots, resumes, bios, short bios, long bios, blah, blah, blah. Although there isn't a lot of standard formatting in opera, please at least just make sure that you have a standard that you're going to keep to, because it's very easy to see and it looks very unprofessional when you don't even keep to your own standards and your own formatting. I'm just putting that out there. You know, if you have your own preferences, that's fine. Not everybody, you know, has the same types of formatting and the same types of, like, you know, listing shows in English or, you know, referring to yourself as Mr. or, you know, whatever. But please keep to your own formatting. It is very apparent, very, very apparent very quickly when you don't. And it's very apparent when you do. And us marketing professionals, we remember that. We really do.
I also want to just put a caveat on this. This is specifically for American casting. This is not Canadian casting. This is not Europe. They have different standards that they look for. So if you do need that and you need those resources, shoot us a DM and I will do a follow-up episode and we'll have some fun with that.
We'll find them. Yeah.
If you do need an example, you can check out my personal website. I'll link it in the show notes. I have my full resume, well, my one-pager listed on my website that you can check out if you're just looking to see how it's broken down. So I'll make sure that that's up to date. Thank you so much for being here. We hope that you learned something. If you want us to dive deeper, if you want us to go into maybe like a workshop or something on this stuff, do let us know. Shoot us a DM. But while you're at it, make sure that you rate and review this episode so that we can reach new followers and start helping more and more singers.
And don't forget to check out our show notes for all of our resources.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know where my voice is going today.